Hi, it's Chief Denney again, and today I want to talk to you about how to fix homes, how to do the fix and flip, the process. I'm here with my daughter, Savvy, and Rocket, my son. And what we're doing is we're talking about, the whole fixing and flipping process of homes. So we're going to dive into, how much does it cost? What should you do? How do you hire a contractor? Things of that nature. I think I'm going to start off with, one of the greatest challenges when you're fixing and flipping a home is how much money do you spend? It's so easy to overspend, because we sit there and go, well, our home is beautiful and I want this place to look like our home, in which case you could spend way too much money.
Yeah.
Or what happens is if you don't spend enough money, then the house just doesn't quite have that look, that appeal, and then you can't get top dollar. And the whole idea is we want to sell it for top dollar as quickly as we can, but with the least amount of money invested.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the tricky part. There's a real balancing act in trying to find that perfect number in terms of how much do I spend and how long this whole process should take.
Yeah.
The easiest way to kind of figure out what to do to a house is to look at pictures. If we were to flip a home in Dallas, Texas, most of the homes in Dallas are brick. But we live here in San Diego, very few homes are brick, most of it's a stucco box.
Yeah.
And you can be in another part of the country where it's shiplap wood siding. So the best way to figure out what to do is to kind of just look at pictures in the area. So if we're flipping a home in Dallas, Texas, what we would do is we'd see what our competitors are doing.
So look at like the similarities in architectural styles and like build quality, stuff like that.
Exactly. So
like scope Zillow, like go on Zillow.
Check out Zillow, Redfin, or Trulia, or Realtor.com. Right. Totally scope it out. And it's funny. It's that picture surfing where you sit there and go, okay, well, are they painting it earth tone colors or are they using the gray tones?
Yeah.
Are they using off-white tone? You can look at the cabinets. Are they doing the white shaker cabinets or are they doing some Merlot colored cabinets or are they doing the gray on the bottom and the white on top? So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
We're just trying to copy what the best are doing. You can look at the light fixture. Sometimes they're the cheap they're called booby lights, the little dome lights that are, $9 lights at Home Depot, or they might be doing recessed can lights. So we're going to look at every picture, every room. Do they have carpet on the floor? Do they have, wood on the floor, laminate or vinyl?
Yeah.
What kind of counters? What kind of faucets? What kind of toilets? So we're going to see what our competitors are spending.
Yeah.
And we're just going to copy everything.
And when you say copy, you don't mean identically copy, but to copy how things essentially look inside the house. So colors,
the feel.
Style.
Yeah, exactly.
Style,
the atmosphere
right.
of the homes.
We want to do that
because that's what's doing good on the market in the moment.
Right. And so part of like what you're saying about Zillow is we can look at our competitors, other flippers, to see what they're doing. Well, what we can see is we can see some comps that maybe sold right away. And then we can see other comps that took longer to sell.
Yeah.
Some of it might be in the comments that they did, but a lot of it's in the quality of the construction.
Exactly.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone go, okay, the gray is the hip color, and you look at the gray and it's like battleship gray. It's like, whoa, that's gnarly. It's totally the wrong gray.
Like my room color gray?
No, your room's hip though. It's cool.
Thanks.
But again, for some people, but if they painted everything that dark gray versus an accent wall, it looks good. But if your whole room was that color gray, most people wouldn't buy it.
I would like it.
You would like it, but you'd be sitting there going, how come the house isn't selling?
Yeah, no, exactly.
So it'd be problematic. So we want to see what they're doing. And what we'll do is, we'll go to Home Depot. Let's go, tomorrow we'll go out there and we'll kind of walk the aisles and point out different materials.
Average prices of things.
Yeah. So when we were doing a bunch of flips in Vegas, one of the things we did is we had people going out and looking at homes, and I had to make a decision within about 60 seconds. Are we buying the home? Are we not buying the home? How much is the rehab going to cost? So we categorize it into 3 categories, A, B, C. A was a house that was just a quick cleanup, a light cosmetic rehab. B would be kind of like a heavy cosmetic rehab, and C would be El Dumpo, a house that needed a lot of work.
Like a demo day type thing.
So part of it is, also different price ranges. Like the house on Country Club, everything was hyper expensive in that house.
Exactly, and the different neighborhoods of areas.
Yeah, Country Club, the tile was $40 a square foot.
Yeah.
Now, if we turn it... Nice.
Yeah,
no, it's not. The faucet, just the kitchen faucet's $2,500, $2,700.
Yeah.
But we're not putting a $2,700 faucet
into a community home.
In a normal bread and butter home or in a rental.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So we'll go to Home Depot and we'll kind of look at maybe an ABC list is also maybe this is a little nicer, this is our normal, and this would be maybe rental grade.
Yeah.
Right? That way we spend enough to make our house look really attractive. We get top dollar, but we're not spending more than we need to.
Exactly. Staying within our budget.
Right. The other thing is, you two have seen, you've been on job sites. I mean, you guys have been on.
Oh yeah, fair share amount.
I think you were 10 years old driving the
giant, I want to say a
backhoe.
bulldozer of some sort.
The backhoe. And,
Caterpillar.
yeah, and I think you painted me once with a roller. I put you in a little
I think so. I remember
painting
that,
suit.
like a painting suit, and
Yeah,
I painted
exactly.
you.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Or let's see, washing the nicotine ooze off
Ooh.
the walls of a house.
Yeah.
Chef's
So those
kiss, yum.
yeah, gnarly. So what's interesting is, and part of that is understanding what materials to use. Like
Yeah.
that nicotine home, you have a home that's just, it looked like someone had been slaughtered there. The nicotine was oozing from the walls.
Yeah.
So how do you get rid of that? So part of it is, learning the
Burn the
materials.
house down.
Yeah, that one should have been a pour gas, throw a match and run.
Yeah,
Also, part of it is hiring the right team.
definitely.
Making sure you have the right contractor or subcontractors or even handyman. Not every job needs a contractor. A lot of jobs, they can just be a handyman. So the condo we're going to be closing on in 4 more days. So your guys' first deal, we're not using a contractor, we're using a handyman because there's nothing that's going to require that additional level of skill set.
Yeah,
And instead of spending $35,000, we'll only spend $27,000.
exactly.
So what is the difference between a contractor and a handyman?
Okay, yeah, it's a good question. So a contractor, in theory, is supposed to be completely licensed. So
Okay.
they've gone to school, they've studied, they've been in the field, they've apprenticed, and they've got a contracting license. Now you could have a license that's just specific to electrical work. You're an electrician, so you could be a subcontractor. You could be a framer, you could have a tile license. And then you got the GC, general contractor, who is qualified to do all of it.
Yeah.
A handyman, some places require handyman license, but it's down from a contractor's
Yeah.
license. So, and some states don't require a license at all for handyman. So it's not to say that handymen aren't as skilled as a contractor, they just haven't gone out and gotten their license.
Exactly. Yeah.
So traditionally, handymen work for less than general contractors. So in certain homes, if we're doing, we're adding walls and doing structural work, we want a contractor. If we're doing the simple cosmetic, putting lipstick on a pig,
Yeah.
making it look pretty, then a handyman is fine. And it's important to always screen them because just because they're a contractor doesn't mean they're good,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So, and you guys have seen contractors come and go over the years because we've had great ones like Mark was an amazing contractor. I'm working with Eric right now, an amazing contractor.
Yeah.
And you've seen me give contractors the boot.
Yes, quite a few.
Quite a few. Boom.
Yeah.
In construction, when we're looking at doing the rehab, again, it's about having the right team, the right design idea, making sure we're on budget, making sure everything is moving quickly,
Yeah.
and making sure we're not spending too much,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or too little,
Exactly.
right?
Not skimping out on the place, but not going overboard.
Right.
So what are some like really basic appliances that you would buy to renovate a home? Obviously you're looking at like light fixtures, paint for the walls, maybe not quite furniture yet if you're not going to rent it furnished, but sinks, washer, bathtub, new shower head, stuff like that?
So the best, all of that. So every house is different. I mean, in Vegas, we flipped over 800 homes, and most of that stuff was new.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to stucco anything. We didn't have to put a roof on it. We didn't have to do anything. Our longest rehab job in Vegas was 2 weeks because we would go in and put new floors in, put granite countertops on, paint the place, try to get the yard to look good, and then turn it and burn it.
Yeah.
Then we have jobs like, Country Club, which has taken years.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Massive
A lot
rehab.
of detail in it.
Or, the places down the street where we're building from scratch. So they're all different. But all of that is defined by the scope of work. So you've seen my scope of work. I mean, I deal with it all the time. A scope of work, you have to have every item. If you don't know anything about construction, you could walk into this room, you could look around this room and say, okay, well, that needs to be fixed, or that needs to be painted, or I think this needs to be updated. So if you take a room, it can seem overwhelming. So if you go into a room and you just sit there and go realize there's 6 surfaces, right? There's 4 walls, there's a floor and a ceiling. So if you just sit there and go, all right, what do we need? Well, some can lights would be nice in here. Okay, let's change the color of the place. So you can go piece by piece, replace the doors, the windows, the knobs, the little door stops, so you don't get holes in your wall. So if you sit and look at a house and kind of figure out, again, looking at the pictures of what your competitors are doing, and then we look at it, can we save those kitchen cabinets or do we need new ones?
Yeah, exactly.
Each home's different. Some have beautiful kitchens, you just need to update the master bathroom. Some are just miracle grow in the front yard, a little weeding, a little paint inside and out, and you're done.
Yeah.
And other ones, you're just pulling the pin, throwing the grenade, and running and just gutting the whole place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the scope of work will define that.
So the scope of work is fairly important for all projects.
Yeah.
Critical,
everything.
completely vital. And what's really important is in any business, like you're working in restaurants,
Yeah.
right? Is communication.
Exactly.
I mean, you got hot grease, knives, and things like that. People have to communicate. A surgeon has to communicate. Not a surgeon, I'm doing it like I'm eating a steak. You know? But what happens is trying to tell a contractor what to do in a house, no one's going to remember it all.
Yeah.
So our communication device is that scope of work,
Okay.
where I can sit there and say, here's what I need you to do. And it goes room by room. There's no communication. And what I like to do is I like to break it down on per page. So in this room, I take out a piece of paper and I go, okay, in this room, we tape it. That's what goes on in this room. In this room. So now what happens, the contractor has guys working for him. How do I know that the contractor's communicated well with the workers? They may not have. Well, if it's taped to the wall and the painter
where the
comes
scope of
in,
work
he can
comes
look.
in.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So now anyone that walks in that room, what's going on in this room? It's right there on the wall. Oh, sweet. So we want to make sure that we're communicating exactly what we want done to that house to people we may not even be communicating with.
Okay. Perfect.
So it's really vital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question.
What about for projects that are more geared towards like heavy rehabs? So for if you were to take a large house and you were to do a big rehab on it to do lots of changes, what would a scope of work on a project like that look like?
The scope of work is, at least my scope of work, and we could put a link down below. So if you're interested in the scope of work, it's just an Excel spreadsheet, but I'm happy to load it on there so people can have the scope of work. It's a lot of pages. So the more work, it's just a more detailed scope of work. So for moving the wall, for saying, hey, let's say there was a wall here and we wanted to open it up, well, we would define that. Sometimes the work requires architects and engineers. So when we did like the Coastabel project, I mean, that house was completely, radically different.
Yeah.
So I had to hire architects and engineers to come in and city planning department.
Yeah.
So again, we have to communicate with them through our architectural plans, through our engineering plans. So each, the scope of work just grows based on
Exactly.
a small one for easy breezy, and for the massive rehab, then it's just a
More
lot
of a
larger.
dictionary.
Yeah.
More of a dictionary.
Definitely.
It's war and peace.
You have obviously done hundreds of rehabs before on houses. About how long would you say it would take for an A-list house, a B-list house, and a C-list house? Obviously, your C-list houses are going to take longer than expected or longer than normal, so we can kind of get that one out of the way. But about, on average, how long is it for an A house and a B house, and then kind of for a C house?
Everyone has a different answer for it, but for mine, it's spending $1,000 a day, and I just that's the burn rate.
Okay.
So if I'm looking at a $60,000 budget, it's going to take 60 days to rehab it.
Yeah.
And I just assume Saturdays, Sundays, I include it all in there. It's just my formula. So if I'm looking at a house where suddenly it's a $120,000 budget, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Sitting there going 120 days. It's got to make a heck of a lot of money to spend that much time on one project.
Yeah.
And there's things that can change in the economy. And so I kind of like, what we're going to do, what we're going to focus on is get in, get out, get paid. We're doing bread and butter, easy breezy flips.
Yeah.
Like the formula in our office, our deals delivered opportunities are basically usually 60 days or less.
Yeah.
Everything is bread and butter. If you can't buy it off the shelf at Home Depot, you don't do it. You don't need a fancy Hansgrohe faucet. I mean, it's just off the shelf, Home Depot, get in, get out.
Yeah.
Or in the industry, we call it blow and go. For example, the condo we're going to do, the budget's $27,000, so that should be 27 days. I'm hoping we'll do it in 14.
Yeah.
So part of it's to really push the contractors hard,
Yeah.
get them to move faster, because every day that we're working on the house, every day that home hasn't sold, we are losing money. Right? Every day that money isn't in our pocket, it's going to the mortgage, taxes, insurance, contractor. So we want to get in and get out as quick as we can. So that's kind of the quick formula for it. So
about $1,000 a day.
$1,000 a day.
Okay.
So saying the house is a $30,000 house, about 30 days deal. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
And that's just for the rehab. Now, obviously, one of the challenges is we want to start the rehab right away. A lot of people buy a house and they don't start the rehab for like a month down the road. I'm like, that's crazy.
You're just wasting money.
So there's a timing thing when we're figuring out the scope of work. We're also talking to the contractor, lining him up so the day we're closed, they are in there and they're starting to do the demo.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of a simple formula.
It's like working on a long timeline for what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we hold our contractor accountable to.
Exactly.
We have it. Otherwise, they'll be there for 3 years.
Yeah.
So we want to get in and get out.
True.
So make sure you guys like,
Subscribe.
If you want, you're not obligated to, but you should.
but you probably should.
Yeah. And share the videos if you found this informative and helpful. And always look at the links at the bottom because there's always great information there as well.